Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Good Morning Soul. And today we're doing that game I played, and we're doing Gears of War, which, out of all the games that I've thought about, like, hey, I could still do a review for that, I could still play that game again, this one is probably the most likely that I'm going to replay. And that is mostly because my lady friend is a huge Gears of War fan, and I've only played the first two games. So I thought I would cover them on here, and even if I do a review for them, I know replaying the games I'll have enough to say, but covering them in this, I can at least talk about the memory and stuff like that, and maybe give my gripes of why I don't like the first game, which was, another Xbox classic or whatever. I know, God damn it. I feel like I'm treading water, which I already did with Halo, and now I'm just beating a dead horse at this point with these games. And I dislike this game for very similar reasons that I dislike Halo, which is it is a boring shooter with very little life. And when I say that, I just mean, like, I don't vibe with anything in this whole game. But I remember, again, I played this at a time when I was giving every game a chance, and when I decided I was going to play something and beat it to completion, I really focused on that. Like, I was a pretty, like, fucking good gamer back then. Like, I would sit down with whatever game and really hammer it in until I beat the game. And sometimes there was games like this where I was just like, I can't. I think it took me like if you ever walked away from a video game, played something else, came back, I think I did that like at least 3 times with this game because I was just dreading playing it anymore. And I remember a big part of that was there was levels where I would get stuck, and it was just like the games that are shitty and you get stuck, it's not worth it. Whereas other games, it's like, oh, I gotta get past this, I gotta figure out, like, I gotta get back in there. No. With this game, I just remember just being bored. The whole game just looked brown and like really post-apocalyptic, but like, this is hard to say because Fallout 3 is like my favorite game, and that looks like shit too. But this game, just nothing about it. Like, I like how all the soldiers like have these big suits of armor, and they all walk kind of similarly, like these big, it's like they're wearing like mecha suits, like, but it's just their bodies. And they all move like as if they weigh 1,000 pounds, but like it's like they have super speed and strength on top of they move like thunder from Fable. So and they all move really good. The movement to this game is really nice, and I remember like the guns, when you shoot them, it feels obviously really good. And you can chainsaw motherfuckers. That's probably one of the best parts of the game. The Everything else in that I don't like. I don't like the story. I don't like Marcus. I don't like any of the characters. I found it really phoned in, all the little bromance stuff going on with all the guys. And I know that later on in the series, like the second one, I really enjoyed it because I was actually getting into the story. But this one, it was like, oh, let's just do a big fucking mission. We're going to fight this General Ram guy at the end, and the whole Locust Horde is killed, but not really at all when you play the later games. Yeah, I didn't care for the story, which, if you guys know me, that's a big part of it, and mindlessly shooting things is not all that interesting to me, and exploring an area which I'm very unfulfilled with just doesn't do it for me. So I remember the story with this game is there was a guy in my class. I finished this game just for him because I remember we were arguing about games or whatever, because he had a very different opinion. He loved Halo, he loved those kinds of games, and I was more like an RPG guy. And I remember that I had this meme going, like, he would make fun of he called Skyrim Gayrim. This is before Skyrim came out, by the way. I was hyping it up as like the next great game, and no one, this is before anyone knew about Skyrim. So he was like, what the fuck ever. Gears of War 3 will win Game of the Year. And I was like, no, the Skyrim, even though I had very little faith that it would. But it did, and it became one of the like greatest games of all time in this classic. Like, I never saw that coming. But at the time, you know, it was just this obscure Elder Scrolls series that paled to comparison to his Gears of Wars. But I would get on him about Gears of War. It would be it's a boring ass game. Fucking Queers of War, that's what I called it. Queers of War. And I remember when the day I met my girlfriend is also the day, like, I think I might have told her that story. And then, like, I just remember her not looking, I just remember her being very just like, this fucking guy, making fun of Halo and Gears of War. But we also loved Kingdom Hearts. I mean, it was a very good representation of what our relationship would be, which is we love and we connect in so many ways. But there's gonna be those days where I'm like, but yeah, I'm completely not with you on this thing. But anyway, so I remember making fun of this game, Gears of War, and I eventually played the second one. I finished it for him, and then I played the second one. I was like, oh, that one's actually pretty good, but I'm going to pretend to hate it for the sake of pissing this guy off. And, like, because I had that, I always have this mantra where if you don't complete the game, you're not allowed to fucking talk shit about the game. Which I've adapted a little bit since then, but I still, for the most part, believe in that. I have actually a video about that on my main channel. But I beat the second game, and I was still hyping up Skyrim this whole time. And I remember he was like, Gears of War 3 is going to be Game of the Year. Thank you very much. And Gears of War 3 didn't flop, but I don't think it, like, did what that guy thought it was going to do. And then I don't think it even got nominated. That was 2011, and I think there was like Batman Arkham City, obviously, and there was probably like, what was it? I think, oh yeah, the Zelda game, Uncharted. There might have been one other one, Portal 2. Those were the games nominated for that year. And that was a good year. And Skyrim fucking won. And I was just so happy. And I just came into school that next day in a sea of golden light. And I was like, what the fuck's up, motherfucker? Skyrim Game of the Year. Not that video game awards matter. I knew that back then. But it was, you know, for the sake of just destroying this guy. Shout out to, I shouldn't name him by name. But he was a good sport in the end, and I would love to argue with him about games again. But that was my memory with Gears of War. And the game itself, I don't remember all that much. Just looking at these clips again, seeing these locations where I was either upset with how probably bad I was at it, or these parts where it was just unfair. Like, I remember these dark sections where you can't step on mines and other shit like that. I remember the driving sections. You guys might know how much I hate driving in video games. Not any better here. It was fucking tedious. Felt like I was playing a completely different game, you know, that kind of thing. There was very little to enjoy with this game, but I remember I didn't hate it. I didn't like get upset by it. I don't remember what, like, I don't remember what I gave the score, and I can't actually look it up because I don't have internet right now because of fucking Hurricane Florence. But I do know that I didn't give it like a positive score. Like, it wasn't a 6 out of 10. It was either like a 5 or a 4. Or it could have been like a 2 out of 5, which could be either or. For the sake of, I'm going with my gut instinct, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Which I know pisses some people off, but that's just my opinion. And I like the second game, by the way. Like, I remember I gave it like a 7 out of 10 or something like that. I'm not like biasly hate toward this series. Like, the first game was just very, very dull and very brown and very ugly. Anyway, that was my thoughts on Gears of War. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, thank you for watching as always, and with that, I leave you.